Hello everyone, June here. As you may have noticed, there haven't been any projects videos in this channel since May. Part of that was because the period between May and August were a little bit hectic and I did so, but I didn't get a chance to make videos, and then I went away, which I've talked about a lot, so I'm not going to delve into that too much. But in this video, I want to share with you the sewing projects that I finished in June, July, and August, and it's a lot of them, so let's get started. So in June, I made a few different patterns, but actually I made two of them. One's wearable muslins, and then the other one's a fabric that I actually wanted to use. The first one of those was the Jilly top by Ready to Sew, and first I made it in a almost handkerchief weight linen that I'd had in my stash for a long time, just to test some of the fit. That one I made in a size 44, and I added 2 inches to the length of the top because it's quite cropped and I don't wear things that are that cropped. I also eliminated the center back seam because there seemed to be no reason for it other than a design element, and like the fewer seams I have to sew, the better. And then for the second one, I used a Cotton and Steel Rifle Paper and Company cotton lawn. It's a beautiful blue with like foiled prints of various sites in various world cities like Sydney, New York, Paris, I think, something like that. It is beautiful. In hindsight, I think I probably should have lowered the bust darts on both of them, but they are okay. And one, I do have a problem with the pattern. It looks nice, but the facings, which is an all-in-one facing for the neckline and the armholes, they do tend to roll to the right side of the garment, and what's the word I'm looking for? I understitched them, I pressed them really well. I even tacked the side seams on both sides, you know, for the facing and the garment together, but they still roll and it annoys me. And another thing, if you are one of those people who cannot be wrinkled, do not make this top in linen or lawn for that matter, because he will wrinkle. But other than that, I like how it looks. They're actually a little bit big on me now because I've lost about 10 pounds since I made this. So I don't know how much more wear I'm gonna get out of them, but they're really nice. And this was my first time working with Ready to Sew patterns, and for the most part, I think they were drafted well, and the instructions are really nice too. The next pattern that I made twice was the Paper Cut Patterns Adrift Dress. First, I made it in this bluish, greenish kind of linen. Again, linen, what was I thinking? To test the fit. Made it, did I say medium? Yes, I made it in a size medium. And the only thing that I did to the pattern was add 1.5 inches at the center front at the waist, kind of like a slapdash full bust adjustment, so that the waist seam lays parallel to the ground. So I added 1.5 inches at the bottom and the center front, and then tapered that out to nothing at the side seam, and that seamed really well. One thing, paper cut patterns are drafted really well, and I have made actually quite a few of them, but the instructions for the underarm seam in this dress are a little bit tricky, and if you are not careful, you will mess it up like I did and have to redo it. So do be careful of those notches. They are very important. Trust me, I know. And then the second one was the one that I actually wanted to make. The fabric is the same fabric, just in a different color. I added the 1.5 inches at the center front, and this time I also lowered the darts, the bust darts, 1.5 inches. And I think I probably could have done with another 1/2 inch. The bust darts are really high on this pattern. I don't know why. And another thing that I did to both of them is the pattern calls for a drawstring to be inserted in the waist seam. I prefer the look of gathered elastic, so what I did was I made the casing as I would for any other elastic casing, and then I threaded the elastic through the inside and I like it much better than the drawstring. I think this would probably work in a drawstring if you were using a flowier fabric, a very lightweight fabric, like a challis or maybe chiffon or something like that. But for my linen, I think the elastic was the way to go. The next thing that I made in June was the Durango tee by Hey June, and I could be wrong, but I do think this is a free pattern, but don't quote me on that. I made a size 16. I shortened the body of the top 2 inches. I have made other Hey June patterns, and I do know that they run large in the torso, so I did that. The neckline binding was puckering pretty badly when I first attached it, so I cut it off and then I added 1 inch to the binding, and that worked much better. And it's actually this one here, I don't know if you can see it. It's the binding is fine. Another issue that I had with this pattern was that I could not, for the life of me, understand the instructions for the armhole binding. So I tried and I tried to make sense of them, but I couldn't figure it out. So in the end, I bound them just like I would bind the armhole. In the future, I would maybe shorten the binding for the armhole so that it doesn't, so that it tightens them up a little bit more than it does. I don't know if you can see it here, but there is a little bit of gaping. It's not terrible, especially if you're on the cardigan, but definitely could not understand those instructions. And unfortunately, because I have also lost those 10 pounds that I talked about earlier, the top is a bit big on me. Initially, I wanted to use it as a workout top, but it's pretty loose for that. It is actually activewear fabric, it's technical, so it feels great on. I'm very happy with it, and I think with those little changes, like the armhole and the neck binding, it would make a perfect top, whether activewear or not. So check them out. I love Hey June. One of my tried and trues is Hey June, the raglan tee. I forget what it's called. The Lane raglan. So yeah, really nice top, really easy to make if you don't mind doing the binding your own way. And for the sake of transparency, I did have a waiter for June that I actually don't have anymore. I threw it out, but it was the Barbara dress from the English version of Les Maisons Victor, and I forgot what issue it was. Maybe issue 1. I'll put it in the description box somewhere. And to be completely fair, part of the reason that it was a waiter was my fault. I used the wrong fabric. The color did not suit me. It was too stiff for the dress, so that didn't work out. However, I did make a second version of this dress in July, and for that one I used a rayon crepe that I bought at fabric.com, and it made all the difference. I made a size 44. I shortened the waist, so the top of the bodice, half an inch, I think, by not adding a seam allowance, and then I shortened the skirt I'm looking at my notes here, 3¼ inches. It was a long skirt, and that was my first time working with Les Maisons Victor patterns. I have to say that they actually run pretty long in the torso. Even with that ½ inch adjustment, it was still too long for me on the waist. Even counting for my breasts that take up a lot of room in clothes, I could have done with quite a bit of an adjustment. And unfortunately, I have found that just because of the way that my body is shaped, I have no waist definition and I have very small hips compared to the rest of my body. The way that these waist ties on this dress, that hopefully I didn't do a video with me on it because it's too big right now. It actually was too big when I made it, and it's even bigger now. But anyhow, I'll put a picture here. So the way that the waist ties work, they just come out from the side seams and then tie up the front. In my body, the ties just sort of slide down and they go under my belly, and it is just not a good look. And I had one issue with the instructions. Actually, for being a magazine, they were fine, but I could not figure out how they did the hem and the button band for the center front of the dress. So in the end, I just ad hoc'd it and did it, you know, the way that I thought would work best. Actually, actually, I love this dress, and if I could make it again with the, you know, the shorter torso and in a smaller size now, I would get a lot of wear out of it if I also added maybe like really thin belt loops at the front, because the gathers of the dress don't go all the way to the center front, so you could easily do that and make it work. If you have a different sort of body, a more slender, more waist definition, then you don't need to add that, and it's really good. And this fabric feels so good. I am so gutted that this dress is not going to work out for me, but I have more of the fabric, so I have to make something else. And that was the only thing that I made in July. July was busy. I had work stuff to do. I was working on transcribing stuff from the archive, so I didn't do a whole lot of sewing. And then in August, I made Simplicity 8383 again. It is the trapeze dress that I made in May. I'll put a link to that video either here or down in the description. I don't know if it's here. I'm confused right now. But this time I made it in a red Liverpool knit with lots of flowers. I've had this in my stash for quite some time. I bought it from Finch Fabrics in LA. I bought it online, but it came from them. And I love this dress so much. I didn't get a whole lot of chance to wear it because I was away and it was too cold for that in Europe when I went back to Europe for work in late August. But this is just the same as the one in August, just a different fabric, and I can't wait to wear it again. I can't wait till it warms up and I can wear it. I can wear it with tights, but I haven't done that, but I could. And then I made a basic. I made the So You crew neck t-shirt, which again, I've made it several times. I don't think that I have a video of the first one, but I have one in kind of like a flower interlock. And then this is the same pattern that I used to make the butterfly, not butterfly, the bee sleeve t-shirt from also May, which I'll link in the description. And I didn't put this t-shirt on now to model to do a video because I had already put my makeup on, and the neckline comes up quite high and it's kind of hard to get over your head without getting makeup all over it. White t-shirts are so difficult to wear. I don't know why I bother, but they look nice. So yeah, that is all that I made in June, July, and August. I was going to make this to include the stuff I made in December, but I thought that it would be a very long video, so I'm not gonna do that today. That will come up next time, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.